Okay, so sign up for our newsletter. I know we mentioned it before, but do it. There's a link in our description. Just click there, and you won't be spammed.
No.
I mean, not unless stuff gets hard, then maybe we would sell your stuff. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that.
No, we're not going to do that. And right now it's like every other week we have something go out. At the most to be weekly, but right now it's just every other week, just kind of stuff that's going on and things that are rattling around in our head. And actually
interesting 400 words from either one of us.
Yeah, right.
Every other
it's
week.
Just a short little essay of
whatever
is top of mind. And that actually, as we speak, goes out tomorrow because we're recording on Wednesday, and it's every other Thursday is when it comes out. So please do that. We would love that. And also, if you follow us on Facebook page in particular, we have a Pat and JT group posted this morning that Dana Camp was going to be on with us, and she is.
I'm here.
So
hi, Dana.
Yes.
Hi.
And thought, you know what? Let's just do it that way, and then y'all know, because that's what we kept hearing from people. It's like, well, I didn't know she was going to be in. You know,
it's like now you have no excuse because we told you ahead of time,
right? And we'll try to make it even like maybe we should put it out like a day before instead of at 6 a.m.
Right.
Okay. So
I wouldn't even be awake to find out I was going to
baby
be
steps, baby steps. Well, we'll let you know a couple days in advance.
Yeah, we'll keep you on a schedule. Don't you worry. That's right. But actually, you are on a schedule.
I am.
So it's the fourth Wednesday.
Fourth Wednesday of each month.
Okay.
So if you want to really plan ahead,
if
put
we're
it in your
live.
calendar.
If we're live.
And possibly too, we're going to be doing this live.
Potentially, yeah.
Which potentially is coming around the corner, but you know.
Baby steps.
Send your stuff in the fourth week. Start on Monday.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
And speaking of which, let's just start right off with our buddy Les.
Oh.
He submitted today. And yes, and we're like, you know what? We need to take care of Les.
All right.
Right.
Let's pull him out.
Right, because he's getting teacher's pet status right now.
Yeah.
So I had to say though, I was pretty proud of him because he popped that off right off the bat, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he did right away this morning.
Yeah, that's funny. So what do you think of Les?
Oh, Les kind of has a tug of war. Les craves to be the center of attention, but also
you could just
doesn't
stop right
want.
there. Oh, okay.
No, I get what you're saying though.
Yeah. Yeah. He needs to be recognized. He's a leader.
Mm-hmm.
He's an empathic leader. He's a character. He's the actor. He can become whatever you need him to be. So he has to be mindful that he makes sure he includes himself in what he wants because he tends to be an overgiver.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And he's always seeking that harmony with others and harmony in general. Like he's like the peacekeeper. Like if something was going on, he'd be the one that'd be like, whoa, guys, let's just think about this. Like he would just take it down a notch and have people like try to find that common ground with them.
Yeah.
And he's Switzerland.
Yeah.
So like he doesn't take sides. He just wants everyone to find their peace. Right.
It's
interesting.
True. Is it not?
Yeah, it's so interesting.
And this year for him was a power year. So he was in his 8 year in 2021, but 8 is starting to move out. September's a 9, so it's kind of closing things up, wrapping things up in that. And then he's moving into his full year of 9 in 2022. So that's closure. So everything he's learned in the last 8 years, he's going to kind of be culminating. What did I get out of this? Mm-hmm. Where do I want to go? What doesn't grow me? What doesn't bring me joy? Cleaning out closets, friends lists, old ways of thinking, making room for the next year, which would be his 1 in 2023. So he's
that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean, it's really exciting.
He's had a big the last couple of years.
Well,
big couple of years.
In 2020, it was super introspective. Like he went inward. He might have even withdrawn from people a bit and gone more inside to see, what do I want? It's like 7 is the 7-year itch. People question everything. They want to know, is this what I want? Am I happy? Where do I want to be? Do I want to continue these relationships, this job?
So the 7 thing, that really is a thing. Because you hear about, the 7-year itch in marriages, right? That's probably where most people hear about it.
But it's not in years being married necessarily. It could also be in each person's individual 7-year.
So if you hit a 7, if you're both like a 7-year, right? That'd be bad. So if like if you're both a 7, whatever that 7, and like your husband and the wife are both a 7, does that usually mean like this? It's going to get real this year or whatever.
Actually, like in your 7-year, you kind of want privacy. You kind of need alone time. So like neither one of them might take it personal, but the other person kind of ditched a little bit to go find themselves. So it'd be harder. Like if somebody's in like, say you're in a year of authenticity and expression, right? And you're really like speaking up for yourself or expressing yourself in a year of 3, but your partner's in a 7. Like you're trying to be real and they're withdrawing from you might make you feel very insecure.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Might turn you off if you're like, you know what, I just need you to step up, and that person's like, I just need you to leave me alone.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Right. So like it just depends on where they're at in their cycle. So there's so many layers to the frequency stuff, because like your chart itself is like your prescription lens for seeing life through. Those are your frequencies and how you're going to perceive. Then you have what we call pinnacles. That's like the 4 seasons of your story. Those are different times periods. So that depends on what your path is, how long you stay in each area. And then you've got your personal years, which is the theme within the theme of the pinnacle. And if you want to go super deep, you can go down to each month within the year, and even more insanely each day, which I don't recommend. You are not being present.
Way overthinking.
You are not being present. You are not fully in your moment if you're always trying to predict where you're going to be.
So do you think, like when you hear like the sayings like the 7-year itch, like where did that come from? I mean, was it because it was an unconscious pattern that somebody recognized and said, oh, it's up 7 years, you know, and even though not realizing that there really is something going on?
I would actually, now I'm really interested in looking up where that came from.
We'll put that on your list.
Okay. But I mean, like, but there's like so many of the numbers have very common. They're what the
old
sayings,
wives' tales
the
or
sayings
things like that. Yeah.
match the number. Like it's lonely at the top.
Third
for a
time's
1.
a charm.
It's lonely at the top. 1's the loneliest number. It's not necessarily true, but 1s don't like to be alone.
Interesting.
So it's not unusual for a 1, even if they're surrounded by people, to still feel lonely.
Right. Being alone and lonely, 2 different things.
Very different.
Right.
Very different.
100%.
Because when you know yourself, you're cool with being alone with yourself. Like you're down with it. And that's something that the 1 has to be okay. They have to become their own cheerleader. And we're talking about 1s, and we have a lot of 1s in the charts today.
Interesting
Yeah.
too.
That is
okay,
weird.
do you find that to be common?
Yes.
Like it's
That's
like
weird.
everybody that is needing or is drawn to this is kind of in the same place.
Yeah, they're very similar, like what they're
crazy.
seeking, what they need to hear. Every time I do these for you guys, there's always that pattern, right? Whether it's the theme that they're in or whether it's the actual path they're on, there's this theme. And even in my clients on my schedule, like it'll just be like a month of 6s, and I'll be like, okay.
Is that like a month of Sundays?
I'm like, okay, so right now, the people who are seeking are the people who feel this frequency right now, and they're the ones seeking clarity.
And they don't even know it. They don't even know it.
No, they don't even know.
That's crazy.
That's cool though, because
that is cool.
really it's like you've got there's a whole tribe of you out there that are all feeling the same thing, but you don't see it in each other because most people don't.
And that's like
speak
what's
out,
so
right?
amazing about numerology. It's so connected.
Yes.
Everything is connected. You're all connected. You may not be on the same frequency all the time, but every one of us has every frequency somewhere in us. So it's like humanity is just so deeply interconnected, and we don't even realize it.
No, absolutely. And we've talked about that before, just the frequencies that most people don't even realize that you're reacting to.
Right?
And you feel up some days. Do you ever wonder why? You know, some days you feel really like you get out of bed and you're like on.
And there's so many things that influence that. Like people who follow the planetary alignments and stuff. Like we just had a full moon.
Did you see the moon this morning?
I did not.
It was like sun.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It was
big,
bright
yeah.
and just like shining through. And I'm like, why was it? And then I saw some pictures, some people on Facebook and other people that do what you do and are on those same lines of thinking and are very conscious of these things. Genre, I guess I want to say.
In our genre.
Others like you.
Interest.
Yes. And they were posting pictures that they had taken pictures of the moon. And these are people that aren't necessarily all from around here. but they were like, "Did you see the moon?" And I was like, "Yes, I did. I saw it this morning. It was crazy
and
bright."
Even people who aren't into that stuff will still find themselves captivated by things, and those are kind of like, those are like your little awakenings. Like you got your little things that
Somebody's
you
knocking.
get excited about, and you don't even realize that, oh, there's something deeper to that. Why am I attracted to that? Why am I? We're also entering a period of time which isn't negative. People freak out when they hear Mercury retrograde, but it's nothing to freak out about. It's more just to be aware. Okay. It's resting. It's reviewing. It's revisiting. It's old things coming up to be resolved, right?
And how long does Mercury?
Oh, it's usually like 3 weeks, but there's a pre-shade and a post-shade. So
the afterglow.
We were in pre-shade. I tend to find that pre-shade is much more intense for me than actual during the 3-week period.
Interesting.
Oh man, I never lose my cool.
But
I lost my cool, man. I lost my cool. Like if you've seen Hercules, the cartoon, where Hades is like, and he like flares up and he's like, I'm cool, I'm fine. And then he goes blue again, right?
Good Lord.
Like, that was like
scary.
I was like, I felt like I was outside myself, watching myself like freaking out. And I was like, whoa.
And is that just now starting, or is that just?
That was like last week.
Last week.
I think it goes
Interesting.
full retrograde, like around the 26th. Don't quote me. Look it up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a time when typically you really have to be. Mercury is the planet of communication, so it's really important that you are being mindful of your communication,
right?
So that you don't have a lot of miscommunications. And
write it out and delete it.
Better, I highly recommend that you write it out, wait till tomorrow, reread it, and then decide whether you want to send it.
Email. Don't address the email and then write it, because if it accidentally gets sent out, just leave it blank, and you can write it out. It's happened before.
Honestly, you really need to clarify who you really want to send that to, because it's probably not who you think.
Exactly. Yeah. So, okay, does this also coincide with the change of seasons? Because as we speak today is the last day of fall, last day of summer, first day of fall is also happening.
Well, okay, so
now.
that's like the equinox thing. So that's a whole other thing influencing things.
So that's happening too.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on right now. So if you feel emotionally raw or on edge or agitated, like that's not unusual with all these things going. Like we always go, like in the first part of when you first wake up and you kind of feel spiritual and you feel like you're connected to things differently, you might think that it's all about you. Mm-hmm. But when you realize that things are bigger than you, like, it's yours, but is there anything outside of you influencing it? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily people, but like energies. So without getting all weird on that.
Too late for that one.
Well, I mean, there's just a lot going on that you don't realize is influencing your choices right now.
That's interesting too, because like when you mention and feeling maybe tightly wound, and recognizing it, and it's like, what brought that on? Why? Like that's
why did that button that's had a cover on it for 20 years? How did the cover get pulled back on the atomic button? That's kind of how I felt. I was like, whoa.
It was one of those, I'm just like, why did I react like that? Because I recognized it in almost in the moment of like, whoa,
yeah,
what was that? Why did I react so harshly to something?
My wife is the most level-headed, like even keel, never gets upset ever. And this past weekend, she like multiple times, like, I don't know why I'm in a funk. She was like kind of snippy and like short and like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just in a funk.
Now you can tell her.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Yeah.
I can't wait. It wasn't me. I have confirmation it wasn't me. Yes. Can you sign something for me?
Yes, I could. I could do that. I could do that.
Certify this. It wasn't Pat.
I need
certified.
I need to do that. That's hilarious. Yeah.
Well, you were just the trigger. You were just a trigger for her to let like old stuff come up, right? It's kind of like throwing up, right?
Yeah.
You're just, and then you look at you're like,
mess.
What did I eat? Like, what is in that?
That
like,
had to happen. That had to happen.
Right.
So thank God it happened. All right. So are we good with Les?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you were saying that you kind of seen some similar energies.
Yeah. So Bridget and Lori.
Great.
Okay, so both of them have identical life paths, which is a 3, 7, 1. So you're a 1 life path, both of you. The same influencers. So when I say 3, 7, those are what I call influencers. Those are the numbers I added together to get the reduction to the 1. So it tells me that you show up with your 3 first and follow up with your 7.
What's your 3?
3 is the communicator, the natural counselor, the mirror for other people, right? The actress, the actor, the chameleon, right? And this is a gift. So I had said chameleon once before on the show, and somebody didn't like that comparison, but that's their trigger, so they need to dig into that.
Right. No, that's
not a negative thing at all. It's a gift. It's a gift.
To be able to, because for a lot of people, to make a situation comfortable, you need to reflect what they're doing, kind of model. Is that what they call it?
Well, that's how you connect with people,
right?
Is by mirroring.
Mirroring things, right? And because subconsciously, most people don't even realize when you do that.
No, but
subconsciously, some people don't even realize they are doing that.
Right. So I'm a 3 life path.
Okay.
And so part of my gift and how I do what I do is I sit into anyone else's energies as if it's mine. That's part of that. My gift is that chameleon.
Wow.
Now, the challenge for that 3 energy is to know who you are when you're not in front of someone else.
Interesting.
And for people like Bridget and Lori, that's really important because they want to be number 1 at anything they do. So it's very important. They have to know who they are when they're not pleasing others. In order for them to know their true self and be best and be number 1 at being them, not what other people want, right?
That's important.
They have a 7 in there following up their 3, and that 7 is, again, that introspection, the faith seeker. Their balance point is faith and doubt. So if they're mirroring someone and that person doesn't respond the way they anticipate they respond, they might slip into doubt that they're doing a good job when really it isn't about them at all, right? So again, that 3 has to know who they are so that they know where they start and stop and someone else starts and stops, so they aren't owning everyone else's triggers.
Right.
Or being a punching bag for those other people.
On top of it. Because that's where some people would call it being a doormat.
Well, when you're highly empathic, right? These ladies are both highly empathic. So it's really important that they know what's theirs and what's not theirs so that they aren't owning other people's pain, complaining, irritation.
That's what a lot of people do, though, that are trying to help other people, is it's like they want to take on what they're dealing with for them or fix it.
For sure.
Right?
Well, and both these ladies they lean very heavily into that rescuer energy.
Oh,
so it's very important that they know. So like Bridget, she feels very responsible for other people. She's got that 9 on the inside. That's her gift. That's the humanitarian. They care about everybody. They care about the planet. They care about puppies and old people and babies and everything. They just care so deeply that they get overwhelmed because they can't save others, but they're not here to save anyone but themselves.
That's probably hard to accept.
But if you know that by saving yourself, you are giving everyone exactly what they need, which is the example of how to do it.
That's interesting. That's a different way to think of things.
That's the key. And she's self and others is her attitude is a master 11, which is like being in a self-made pressure cooker to do the right thing. So not only has she got that perfectionist energy and that desire to help other people, but she's really got to find balance with herself and others in her attitude. She's a leader here to teach others to lead by her loving example, not by doing it for them. And that leads me to Lori.
Interesting. Okay.
Lori has the mother, the queen, the healer, and the nurturer as her gift. And that's the 6. And she has to know when to not intervene, like not enable. She needs to learn when to not enable people. She's very much, she's always trying to create safety and structure.
I was going to say, she's doing
security.
It from a place of
100%. Yeah.
Absolutely. From a place of love, from a place
or
of
fear. And either way is okay.
Either way, just like wanting to make sure that the right result is reached.
Right. And she can become very polarized.
Okay.
So Lori has to be really careful that she's not, her own suffering, a lot of it might come from being black and white about things. Right? So it's really important that she find that how she can help by being an example for others, by not doing it for them.
Interesting. Just wondering, I think we've talked about this before, but it's been a while, is with you work with children.
I can, yeah.
And what would be for some of for like say teenagers or somebody getting ready to go off to college, or just to kind of get your bearings.
Yeah, and also to be validated in that who you are is okay.
Oh my gosh.
What your dreams are your dreams, and it's okay for them to be and strive for the things they want.
So maybe junior high.
Maybe
that would have been beneficial in junior high.
I feel like high school is probably better, right on the cusp of when they're stepping out into the world and they're not sure who they are, and they've had a lot of adults around them trying to influence who they think they should be.
Right. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because we project all the time. Like we don't do it to be harmful. We just think we know what's better for somebody than they do.
Kind of like we were just talking about, though, with both of the other women, right? They're doing it for the right reason. What they perceive to be the correct reason. They're wanting to help.
Yeah,
but it could be actually making things more difficult for somebody.
It could if the person that you're trying to influence isn't meant to do your path, right? So it's really important that we honor our children and their uniqueness. And
I like that.
It's not that they may not have a similar path to us. Some do. But if your child doesn't, and they're very different from you, not to squash that, but to encourage it and to be curious about your child and to be curious about what magical thing they're going to bring to this planet, how they are going to change it with their own ways of being here.
It's because a lot of kids, I think, some pressure is put on them when they're one of two things. It's either, we're just oil and water. They don't,
And that may be why you came here to do that. Maybe you came here to be opposites for each other, to help each other grow.
Because you think that everybody that grows up under the same roof is getting the same guidance or hearing the same messages, right?
Right. We're seeing it through our own lens, but not through their lens.
So sometimes the black sheep, that's another one of those, that I'm sure could have been explained with a little numerology, with a little help from you.
Just somebody who has a very different frequency than everybody else. Like say, and who's to say that others don't have wildly different frequencies, but their fear keeps them from expressing themselves, right?
Right.
So maybe people just keep working for the family business even though they have no passion for it.
Because they don't want to make waves.
Well, because it's an expectation that they've been put on them, that they haven't found the courage to say that how they really feel is not this.
Right? And you see it sometimes too, that maybe one does leave the pack and the explosive reaction, anybody else that's in the wake is like, okay, I'm not going to do that. We're just going to stay here and I'm just going to keep rowing the boat.
Right.
Because I saw what just happened and I don't want to deal with that.
Well, a lot of times families are not necessarily ruled by love. They're ruled by fear. Fear, and that's ancestral. Like this stuff gets passed down for generations and generations and generations, like expectations within the family. Right?
100%.
And when somebody comes along and they're a cycle breaker, they literally came to help give the family an upgrade because they were stuck.
That is such an interesting way to look at it, because you think about some of the families and the immigrant families that came to this country, and they were expected to, they had a trade and they were expected to do their trade. Same way any of the immigrants, because they all were, right? The people that came
We all
here.
came from immigrants.
And we all came from immigrants. So everybody's got that same kind of history that's going in. Some families, it's much deeper than others.
Right. And it shows up like trauma too. Right. Families that have, or even health conditions, families that everyone gets diabetes in. Yeah. Well, there's an emotion behind that. There is something that happened in your family line that created an environment for that to manifest. And if you're getting it because it's been passed down to you, and look at families that could have healthier ways of, like, we're enabling each other, right? So we have to find ways to break out of that pattern. And it might be really hard to do that with your family if everyone isn't taking care of themselves. That's become the culture. of the family.
And if you break out, is it insulting to some family members?
It makes them uncomfortable.
There you go.
Because you're doing something they haven't had the courage to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get uncomfortable. They also no one wants to be forced to change.
Mm-hmm.
We want to change on our own terms if we even want to change.
True.
But it will make us uncomfortable. And where does growth happen? When we're uncomfortable.
When you're uncomfortable.
Right? It's not suffering. It's uncomfortable. Suffering is staying in the same place and not changing the things you need to change that create this. That creates suffering. Stagnation creates suffering.
Right.
Growth is uncomfortable, but you grow and there's joy in that.
Right. So oddly, and we're not going to go down this road, but right now what's going on in this country is a lot of uncomfortable situations.
It is. And things had to be uncovered for them to be healed.
Right.
Ripping the Band-Aids off.
It's like you sadly, I'd seen a couple of posts, people saying that the conversation has come up, and there have been studies that have been done about how the topics are so polarizing that either conversation just stops.
Right.
We won't go there.
Yeah.
If we're going to maintain this relationship.
Yeah.
Or we just don't maintain this relationship.
Out of fear.
Yes.
So what holds us in stagnation and discomfort, right? Discomfort and dis-ease. So we're in dis-ease and we're kind of making ourselves sick, sitting in that same place, not moving, right? Same. So with these people who come and change this pattern, who are brave enough to step up and say something that's not popular because it doesn't fit the stagnation, right?
Trust me. I mean, it's, and I recognize it in myself as well. But I try to. It's like, okay, just breathe.
We can't make others do it, right?
Why does that hit me so? Why does that? But nobody, and I think one of the easiest sayings that's out there, something like that, people would rather, what it's easier to fool someone than to tell them they've been fooled, right? So it's easier to fool someone than to tell them they've been fooled. They don't want to hear they've been fooled.
Right.
You can fool them,
right?
But you can't tell them you did it.
Oh, I could tell you that a lot of things I've already said today probably triggered people.
Sure.
Just because I'm kind of talking about sensitive subjects that people don't want to talk about, like health and our choices, right? Like, we don't want to be judged. And by far, I'm not judging anyone. Like, it's just what you came here to experience. And I honor that.
Right.
I mean, it's up to you. Like, I'm not here to write anyone's story, but I can give you an idea of what your story, what you came here to feel and experience.
Right.
So it's like, you get to choose 100% of the way. Do you want to continue to stay where you are, or do you want to change that?
So that even comes, that's just as basic as, we were just talking out in the hallway. You've made lifestyle changes recently.
Yeah.
So you understand making yourself uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%, right? Because you're physically doing that, making yourself uncomfortable.
I am. I'm being uncomfortable for sure. I'm fasting, right? So I'm uncomfortable.
So when you change your diet, that's just an easy step that everybody can do on their own. And some people,
I wouldn't say easy.
Right? No, not. You're right.
Because we're inundated with.
Everybody knows better.
We're inundated with all these delicious options.
That's true too.
And society is enabling it. And society, we don't have anybody looking out for us except us.
That's 100%. I think more and more people are starting to realize that as well.
So when you think about the things you put in your body, the fuel that you put in your body, the minerals and the vitamins that you put in your body that are going to create healthy cells.
And it takes a while.
It does.
To repair.
A year to repair, to replace every cell in your body. It takes a year. That's
incredible. And for a lot of people, making it through a week is difficult.
We are a instant gratification society. We want that pill to work right this second.
Yeah. We
want to feel better right now. We want to have whatever we want to have, and we want it now.
It's hard. It is, because you are so used to everything else is like that. Everything is on demand.
Yeah.
And you get frustrated when you can't use your phone. You get frustrated when you can't.
Oh my God, internet goes down. Who isn't losing their mind?
The other day, Amazon Prime, for whatever reason, I could not get and I wasn't even ordering anything. I was watching something on TV, but I was on Prime and I'm watching television and I'm going to Prime and I couldn't get my shows to play. Every time I try to resume watching something, it just freeze.
Retrograde. Mercury retrograde affects electronics. It affects your mechanical things. So expect glitches, expect printers to stop.
I was, TV could not get it. For whatever reason, it wouldn't connect.
Yeah, my show froze last night and I was like, okay, all right. This is a redirection, right? Everything retrograde is a so it's a redirection. Where could I spend my time somewhere else?
And that's what I ended up doing.
Redirect.
Found something else to occupy my time. But yeah, my TV hasn't moved, but for some reason it couldn't connect to the internet. And it was not any farther away from that router than it was the day before. And and it just wouldn't.
You walk up to something with your phone and you hold it right on it.
I've done that.
Is this close enough now?
Pushing the button extra hard and it wasn't working. So, all right. I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's
I have a funny story.
Yes.
For you. So I ordered these safety that go behind the knobs on your gas stove so that kids can't turn them on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so gas doesn't leak, like a pet doesn't jump on it and turn it on.
Mm-hmm.
And I ordered them because we've always had those knobs, those cap knobs. I hate them. They break all the time. So I found these silicone ones that go behind it and wedge. And I had cleaned the stove, and so I took off the nasty ones. I was like, everybody just be careful for a whole day, okay? They said they'll be here tomorrow, which was Monday. Monday, they didn't come. And then I got a message saying that they weren't going to be here till the 21st or 22nd. Well, I don't know why I thought it was the 15th.
Oh.
And I started flipping out because my granddaughter lives with me and I don't want her to, I don't want to.
Trying to be safe.
Yeah. So I freaked out. Everybody in my house started staring at me and they were like, the 21st is tomorrow? And I was like, oh, okay.
Then we're fine.
And they all laughed at me because there's this guy who does this comedic, he does this stand-up and he talks about Amazon Prime, Amazon Now, Amazon Yesterday, Amazon, and they were like,
yeah,
I want my Amazon now.
Right.
And they started making fun of me. And I was like, I really thought it was a week. I was like, they said yesterday, they said today, and now it's a week. And I was like, I thought it was a week. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had a cow.
Wouldn't have flipped out.
But hello, mood swings and losing my cool again. Mm-hmm. I was just like, oh, okay.
Nope. 100%.
Well, all right then. So anyway, Amazon Now.
That's about how
we're
I feel
all so
too.
Spoiled with it,
2-day delivery.
Yeah, we're so spoiled. Well, it's literally a couple miles from my house. That's the other thing.
I'm thinking I also could drive 3 miles and go get it because it's right there at that store. Right. I could just get up off the couch.
So, I mean, again, the energies are just influencing everybody. Okay, normally, I'd be like, eh.
So it's a perfect time to have you come in and do this. I'm glad we put that out there too, so you got some of these. Some of these to clear up.
And Lori had a question she added to hers, and her question was about your name, and she uses Lori instead of Laureen, and it does matter, and there isn't any way for me to calculate that without your full name, but yes, the energies do change how you feel on the inside, how people perceive you on the outside, depending on the name you go by. So if you've, as a woman, if you've ever been called sweetie or sweetheart or honey by somebody and it just made every hair on your body go up, in absolutely not.
You know what's weird is some people can say that and it doesn't bother me, and then someone else can say it and it instantly is just like a red flag.
So you have to remember that you're also dealing with their energy. So if their energy, somebody who's got a mom energy calls me sweetie, I'm like, oh, thanks. But if somebody who's I don't know, if somebody was trying to be manipulative.
That's what you're saying, yeah.
And they called me sweetie, or it was degrading, or I interpreted it as that I wasn't important enough to know my name, and they were just using these little names, I'd be like, no, that's not going to work.
See, I've never been able to pinpoint or differentiate. Like you're saying, the mom energy, 100%. Like you have the waitress.
Oh yeah, that'll melt me.
That
I'm like, okay.
She'll come over and say, "Oh, say, okay, sweetie, what do you want?" You know, just and it feels like a warm hug,
right?
But then if you're online and you post something and somebody says, "Oh, sweetie," you have no idea what you're, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. Also intention. Like you're also picking up on the intention behind it or your perception of the intention.
Or your perception.
So if it's just a trigger for you, then that's yours. If it upsets you, it's yours. If it upsets someone else, that's theirs.
That's theirs.
And
that's hard for a lot of people to deal with too.
It is. Well, especially like when we talked about Lori and Bridget today. That would be something that might be hard for them to is
differentiate.
Yeah.
That's actually theirs. You can't fix that.
Right. And then it's okay that they're that way. Your power is in deciding whether you interact with them.
Exactly.
Like we always have the power to stop talking to somebody or walk away. And it doesn't mean that, another thing that we deal is everybody wants to be right.
Yeah.
They need to feel like they have to be heard. Lori especially feels like she needs to be heard. Like she needs to be heard. Like she's not joking around. Like she wants the respect of being heard. That's very important to her. You don't have to, and here's the thing, you actually don't have to agree with her. She'd like you to, but you don't have to agree with her as long as you listen to her.
That's kind of a universal, almost a lost art.
Yeah.
And nowadays, even more so, I think online, just don't engage.
Everybody's just projecting. They're projecting at a very wide, big, large audience. So if you're a hopeful person and you see things from the sunny side and you post something on a common public thread, you're gonna get the backlash
negativity
from that. Yeah, the people who don't have hope are going to try to squash that.
Aren't those are the ones that point out that you spelled something wrong? Even though the intent of the message is clearly a good message.
Those people need hugs.
on social media in general,
they need hugs.
Leave spelling out of it.
If they are so focused on something that size to control, right? They really don't feel like they have control anywhere else in their life. If that's their highest priority is correcting your grammar.
Yeah.
Or your,
100%.
And I think, but did you understand what they were saying? Yes, you did. You did know what they meant. It's not about their grammar. It's about, did you understand what they meant? And you couldn't have, come on now.
Yeah. The intent
you know
of the
what they
is
meant. Let's be kind, right?
Be kind.
Because you knew what they meant. We're not in grade school anymore.
Right? Are we?
Well, a lot of people, we give people a hard time for things like that. But in reality, that might be one of the most smartest people you've ever met. It does not equate intelligence.
Very true.
It equates memorization.
There you go.
So being kind is far more of a priority than having a great memory.
110%.
Just remember to be nice.
So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you and dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
What should they expect and what's the best way to do it? And just kind of give us the rundown of all the different things that you do, as a matter of fact.
Oh, all of them.
Yes. I got a couple minutes. Go ahead.
I highly recommend you start with the intuitive numerology session because that'll give us a start point and a baseline for where you want to go next. It's a long session. It's an hour and a half. So we go deep. We go into anything that you need to go into. You also get to include any close relationships to you, anything that's really stumping you that you need help with. That's what I deal with mostly is relationships.
Yours is kind of like a shining a light, which you said you are a light.
Yeah.
Shining a light on things, but different perspective.
Yep. So I'm a perception coach.
Right.
So I can see it from all these different places, and then I can help you choose that better feeling perception. Right? How do we shift inside of ourselves to have more joy? That's what I want people to really lean into is how can I have more joy? Because when you have more joy, other people around you are going to also have more joy.
Yeah.
Because you're going to become a mirror of that joy and it's going to get bounced back to you. Right?
As they say, what you put out is what comes back, right?
Sometimes. So here's the thing about those
putting out to the universe.
Here's what happens with those three energies though, right? And since we have so many who lead with their 3 in our charts today, 3 energy is that mirror for other people, but you're also a lighthouse. And if you're shining your light so brightly and you're just sending love out everywhere, you're shining that light into other people's dark corners. And they don't always appreciate that because they may not want to look at that part of themselves. So they may call you disingenuous. They may call you fake. They may call you full of it. And you have to know who you are so that you aren't taking that personal.
Right.
So, yes, you can be this loving lighthouse, but you also have to remember that you're going to trigger people who don't feel worthy of that love. And you have to know who you are so that you can separate that and not take it personal.
And that's a great way to think of it, though, they don't feel worthy now. It's not because they literally don't like you. It's just they're like, just not accepting that right now.
They aren't accepting the part of you that exists in them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. So, we'll go deep. I mean, it's really very personalized. Whatever you need is what we'll go into. And if you're not sure what you need, I'll find it.
You'll find it. Do you do like if a couple wants to come in
couples.
Yeah.
I do. I can even do like small businesses, like
interesting.
Creating a better coworker environment, teamwork.
Yes.
So we can look at, okay, how does each person respond and how do they perceive?
Is everybody in the right seat?
Yes. Are we letting these people shine in the areas that they excel in? Do you want that kind of team where everybody feels fulfilled at the end of the day? Because who doesn't want their team to feel fulfilled? Do you want to be able to give praise and rewards in a way that people are going to feel it, right? Like some people are like words of affirmation. They want to hear they did a great job. They want to hear you're proud of them. They want to hear you say it in front of everybody else.
Right.
Right.
Or
maybe they don't.
That's like the love languages.
It is.
Right? Isn't it? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's all tied up in there.
They want it to be seen. They want other people. Do they want to hear about it?
Some people want to be seen, but do they want to be like, will they perceive it as embarrassment? Do they want to do it publicly? Do they want it privately? Would they prefer a monetary reward versus verbal? Like maybe your words don't mean a whole lot to them. Maybe they're like, show me the money. And that's okay too.
Or it could be a different piece of furniture in their office, or it could be, it's a million different things that you don't know exactly what everybody values. Good leaders do.
Yeah.
Right. They're very perceptive.
Very
about those
perceptive.
things. They pay attention.
But knowing somebody like saying like who needs to run the front, who is the most cheerful,
who's the customer facing person that they enjoy it and other people appreciate it. Right. Because they recognize that in them. Right. Okay.
Yep. So it's like finding the right person. Who's the most organized person who doesn't necessarily have people skills, but can keep everything running really smoothly behind the scenes. You never run out of anything because they're on top of it. Right. There's all these different jobs.
Yep. That's a great idea.
Finding a cohesive team and sitting down with the whole team and explaining that this person is this way and this person's that way. And then they go, oh, I was taking that personal and it's not about me.
Not about me.
And they're just they're overwhelmed when there's too much activity and too many people. And that's why they like to be alone in their office. They're not antisocial. They're recharging their batteries.
Thank you. I recharge often.
Yeah, you have to. So we have to honor ourselves. How can you, as a supervisor, honor your team and make sure that everybody's getting what they need so that you get the best from them?
Let me ask, after the last year, 2 years, are you seeing an uptick in interest in what you do and people wanting to find out more?
For sure.
Deeply about these things.
Just since 2019, my business has doubled.
Insane.
So I see between 40 and 50 people a month.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
But I think just for a lot of people that they're starting to look inward. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. And they're starting to pay more attention to what makes them feel good. And what things they keep, or what people and things they keep around them.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they're learning to honor themselves. Right. Like, and to accept themselves the way they are.
And again,
I need breaks, and it's okay that I need breaks, and that person doesn't need breaks, and they're pressuring me because I need breaks. That's not about me. That's about them.
100%. And that takes you back to the conversation at the top when we were talking about being uncomfortable. Somebody said something about time to get new keys because old keys only open old doors.
New keys. Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
And I'm like, ooh, that's kind of interesting. Yeah. Because you can't, again, keep doing the same thing, you get in the same result.
Yeah.
And people just finding different ways to express it.
Yep.
And it is uncomfortable.
And setting boundaries is uncomfortable.
That's hard to do too.
And here's the power punch. The boundaries aren't for other people. They're for you.
Mm-hmm. Because
you're the only person you have control over. You set the boundary. You decide what you allow, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, family is our biggest triggers. They know where all our buttons are. And so a lot of people feel really uncomfortable going against anything that a family member might want, you know, especially if you have a strong parent or a very controlling sibling somewhere in there, right? So it's important that we know that we're all just here to be our best versions of ourselves. And even on your worst day, you are still the best. You still did the best that you could do. Even on your worst day, you still did the best you could do. And that's okay. And to be gentle with yourself.
100%. And especially heading into the fall, a lot of family gatherings.
Yep, the holidays are coming. Yep.
So
Perfect gift, by the way. This is a great gift.
That's a great idea too. And yeah, just kind of plan on that. Like think about that moving forward because we're already in September, so October, November, December. I mean, look what's just right around the corner.
I'm typically booked out a month.
So you might want to plan ahead.
Yep. And you can text me directly to set up in a session 402-960-0624.
And that number in the show notes as well. Deanna, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me again.
Pat and JT Podcast, a Hurrdat Media Production.